Perfect. So, that's a really great place to end. I want to make sure we've got a little less than a half hour, which I think is fine because I think this last one may not be quite as meaty. It's been brought up several times, the idea of a newly incorporated city. There is an example of Birch Bay. I just wanted to bring that up to see whether there was further discussion on that, because that is really a big comp plan.
City of Laurel and City of Custer, that kind of
City of Laurel, City of Custer. You start then. Go ahead.
I guess in terms of the cities, in my Linden is surrounded by great ag land. Birch Bay is not. We'd be a whole lot better off putting a lot more people in the Birch Bay area than around Linden, even though maybe that's not good for me in the long haul, but it's probably good for our community to locate people on less productive land as opposed to highly productive ag land.
So the Birch Bay study, I think, was positive, and it was really a financial study. It said, is there enough tax base? If this thing incorporated, could it actually pay for itself? That was a study back in, I don't know, 2008?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Yeah, so thing is, why we shouldn't be obsessed with it has to be city. Like there is no condition that has to be, it could be just another, we can have 3 Birch Bays.
Well,
What's wrong with that?
Looks
No, we can
badly.
The thing is, no, let me complete my statement. Over the last 20 years, we have learned so much. What did we do wrong with the Birch Bay? What did we do wrong with the Columbia Valley? Right?
No, I don't.
No, I know, because we are a county,
Yeah.
we know.
Okay.
Okay. What I'm saying is, after learning from that, why can't we develop a plan that next UGA we will do a rural UGA? It will have the stormwater, traffic, and other things, because they were able to do that because they themselves decided to be a water and sewer district. That was the biggest thing. Otherwise, they would not have grown that much. Why don't we start with that? That you have to have a sewer. We will put 20,000 people. Just picking a number. I know, I think say things in visionary. I think the council is looking at me give a specific plan with item number 1, item number 2. I'm not to that point yet. I'm to the point to sell my vision. That's why I talk like stories, because I want people to buy into that. So Birch Bay, if we take Custer, we say we imagine that it will be a 20,000 people city in 25 years, whatever number we do. Then we put the things that we just discussed in the first question. The storm will be like this, sewer will be like this, and roads will be like this, standard and all this. It doesn't have to be. I mean, it is my interest that it should not be a city because we get all the tax revenue. But that's not the point. What I'm trying to say is that making a city is so cumbersome in our laws. I don't think we will ever get there. But we can get there by making there's the law that Lammard can be designated by the county council. Lammard can be designated as UGA. Just one resolution.
I thought Lammerts had to be in existence as of 1990.
No, they are in existence, but they are the existing, Custer is the existing Lammard. So what I'm saying is we can take that Custer and call it UGA and expand its boundary and say, okay, we'll have, so there will be private people. Let's put that proposal to somebody. We can't say that somebody has to come to me, say, I have $50 million, where should I spend it? It's not that, it's the other way around. That we pitch for that we want to create 3 new Birch Bays in our county. Who's willing to pick up their hand and say, yes, we are willing to bring money up for that?
John?
Thanks, Michael. I do know, we actually do have some folks who are involved in Birch Bay Incorporation here. They are participants, but Matt Berry is on the Birch Bay Incorporation Association, and I see Danielle from the chamber, and I see other folks here who we recently appointed to. The county created, after community demand and community request, we created a Birch Bay Community Advisory Committee that's just getting started up. So for folks who want to follow those conversations, check out the Birch Bay Incorporation Association. The county put funds in to update that study that you mentioned, Michael, that one that's now, 15 years old. So that is going on right now. So for folks who want to check that out, check that out. And if we want, we could invite folks from the Incorporation Association to come present at one of our upcoming meetings. The other places where I've heard interest in incorporation, obviously it's not, majority. You never know majority until you put it to a vote. But there is interest in Columbia Valley. I have heard interest in Columbia Valley in that UGA and in Point Roberts. So there are other areas to consider across the county as well. And obviously you need to study this to make sure that it's feasible, that there's a tax base there. And I should also say it's the people in those areas who have to make those decisions and have to drive that demand. I have not heard that demand from Custer. I don't know if anybody else has.
Todd?
The discussion about a new city of Custer or 3 more Birch Bays, I think detracts from one of the planning goals that some of us share. That is, we're trying to minimize growth in rural areas, put growth where we have the potential for infrastructure. Those are existing cities. The idea of creating more distant places that don't have infrastructures just to kind of fragmented sprawl to me. I'd love to see Blaine be able to get more capacity. We've done zoning bonuses, density bonuses for Birch Bay, and it's not really happening. People aren't taking advantage of it. So I mean, maybe they will at some point, but I think the focus of this planning cycle should be how do we concentrate growth and plan for growth adjacent to existing cities and existing UGAs. I think it detracts from that goal to say we'll start building new cities where there's no infrastructure.
So, so Birch Bay is off to a good start, and I'm very comforted hearing Scott's actually say out loud, yeah, perhaps it would be better for the ag in this county to start sending something to somewhere other than Linden, because the thing that I was told so often 10 or 15 years ago is that the more ag land that winds up being developed into condos, that eventually you get to a point where the support services for ag don't have enough customers, and the whole thing implodes, and we don't have an ag industry anymore. So I think it would be great if the county, when the county's figuring out where to put the projections and where to try and push new population, a place like Birch Bay that's on its way to being a city would seem like a good place to target that.